And we're out of closed session, and we'll move into new business. And our first item is the Rare Board of Trustees, fifth member appointment. Mr. Kleinfeld, did you want to give some background on this, or Mr. Albright?
I can give a little bit. I know Joe Marucci's here as well. I think after the last meeting, there was an agreement to find a way to amend the articles regarding the rotation of the fifth member. I think there was some confusion on whether or not the choice would still ultimately rest with the remaining four members, or if the cities should just actually assume that responsibility. Eastpointe City Council does the fifth, and then Roseville does the fifth after that. So I guess I'd want to know what the rest of council feels on that.
I thought we just passed, so if we pass a resolution and Roseville City Council passes a resolution with your articles of incorporation wording, then we'd be good. That updates the articles of incorporation, and then the fifth member works as we were talking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
in favor of that, though.
the part that I drafted, that's how I saw it. The best way to propose that, but.
I'm also in favor of that because I guess I was a little bit disappointed. I don't even think they had a quorum at the last meeting.
Okay.
So it makes it really difficult when you're trying to determine who's going to be the representative. And to go back with this Articles of Incorporation change, I think it's just a minute change that we really intended to be there to begin with. So, all right, so do we have a motion, please?
Oh, excuse me. So Charles Frontera from Roseville will take on the remaining 2 years and 7 months or something like that?
Yeah, the way that the articles are written wouldn't affect his term. It would just say the next time someone's up, it has to be someone from Eastpointe.
How long has it been now?
5 years.
5 years? So why can't go into consideration now? Since it's been so long.
If we wanted to do that, we could, but I don't think Roseville would agree to pass articles if it was removing one of their members. Roseville has to agree.
I agree.
So if they vote it down, then we're stuck with the current situation, possibly continuing on.
So you're saying we have to vote and then wait till they vote? Or, how is that going?
Yeah.
That's how it was set up originally.
Once both approved, then Eastpointe has to file it with the Secretary of State. This doesn't need to be amended, but just a point, the state law requires the second person to pass the resolution to file it. For some reason, we accepted that responsibility when we first did the articles, but I'm fine with that. I don't know if we're ready to motion tonight or if it needs to be formally prepared by the city attorney.
Yeah, there's.
I thought you've reviewed it, right?
I did review it. There's there's no rush on doing this, so we have plenty of time.
So then should we just
So I don't
table and do it next meeting?
I don't understand what you're doing. You want to wait until Ms. Lucido is here to have 5 people to do this, or?
Or did you want to review the red?
I've reviewed the red language.
If everyone finds it acceptable, we could do it tonight and then send it over to Scott in Roseville to possibly present to Roseville.
Let's do that.
I'm ready to vote on it.
All right.
Cardi?
Sure, Madam Mayor, I'll motion that resolution 1868, so that'll be the first of the 2 resolutions in our packet, be approved and forwarded to the Roseville City Council and the Rare Board of Trustees for review and consideration.
Support.
Move with support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
No.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. Our next item is related to the Johnson Street contract modification, and Mr. Marucci is still here.
I am, Mayor.
Did you want to discuss this?
Very simply, as you know, due to the 3+ work week stoppage by the that occurred with the members of the Operators Union 324, Johnson Street really never got started in terms of road reconstruction. The water main was put in, thankfully, and has been working. But we are dealing now with a situation that we couldn't have started and completed on time. So the contractors asked, and Steve Pangori and I, we believe we should extend this contract. So we're asking for two things. One is acceptance of the new progress schedule, which is in essence work beginning April 15th and ending June 30th. And then the contract modification, no terms or conditions would change, just the extension until June 30th to be substantially complete with the work.
So I had some questions about this. This whole contract was dependent on the CDBG funds that the county had. And it says in here that you don't know for sure whether that money will be coming? And that there was going to be a 3 to 4 week for a formal response?
That's correct, Mayor. I wrote a letter, now it's probably been over 2 weeks, asking for an extension. And I also intend to write them again tomorrow, depending on the action that you take tonight, showing them that we've approved a contract modification, which is extension, and a new work schedule. That would go a little bit farther, but they know what happened here. And there may be other projects out there that were affected by us as well, but they believe it's a valid project. And at least the program manager, and I think she pulls some weight, believes it's worth an extension of time. But the decision is not hers, as she made it very clear.
Who's the decision?
It will be ultimately her boss, and it may also take the Board of Commissioners, but it would be for sure her boss.
And wasn't the money to go back to Washington if it wasn't utilized?
That or in fact, it may just be try to be reappropriated again. Just like the extra $350,000 is money from 2016 that all the participating communities didn't spend. So it may be attempted to be reallocated again, but even they don't have time to do that because the program year is in essence passing. So they're sort of stuck. Well, we could take it from Eastpointe, but we have no time to give it to anyone else. And their inclination is not to take it from Eastpointe. This is a good project. It has merit, and we understand it was something beyond the city's control, is what they told us.
Okay.
So hypothetically, if it's not approved, then
That's the caveat that I put into the suggestion motion, saying that if it's not approved, then this project's going to stop. Because we don't have the funding. The only reason we went ahead with this project was when that $350,000 was given to us. That's what made the project affordable.
and so by project stopping, we haven't really done much yet, right?
We've done the water main.
Yeah.
And that's it. The only thing, and what we plan to do starting next Monday is installation of the sidewalk, which would have been really the last step. You always build road out versus sidewalk in, because you don't want to damage the sidewalk. And there will probably be some damage that will occur to the sidewalk. But we can't go without a sidewalk. It's just horrendous to try to walk that street on the west side.
Right,
So-
do we have a motion then?
Madam Mayor, I will motion to approve the contract modification number 1 and the revised progress schedule for Johnson Street construction project contingent upon the city receiving an extension of time regarding the expenditure of the dedicated CDBG funds and authorize the deputy city clerk to execute both documents.
Support.
Move to support it. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens.
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Next item is the appointment of a Southeast Regional Emergency Services Authority, SERISA representative. Can we have a motion to that effect, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I motion to appoint George I pronounce your last name, so. Roheb, so I can say it right, thank you. Motion to appoint George Roheb as the City of Eastpointe representative to Southeastern Regional Services Emergency Services Authority.
Support?
Move to support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Owens.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld.
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. And council, the next item, the approval to amend the tower lease agreement with a new PAR Verizon Wireless. Mr. Sabota would like to speak a little bit about that and perhaps table it till the next meeting.
Honorable Council, just before I departed from my previous position, I negotiated a similar deal with the exact same company, and needless to say, the financial benefits to that city was substantially more than what is being offered here. And I'm also aware of a cell phone agreement that was part of 15 years ago, where at that time, that community was receiving significantly more as a base than what this is being offered. So I would like to have an opportunity to potentially contact the company and see if they might be willing to improve the offer that they're making to the city.
So with that in mind, does anyone have a motion to table this to our next meeting?
I would recommend postponement until the next meeting.
So moved.
Support?
Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens.
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. And item E is the approval of the new HVAC rooftop unit for the Military Museum building. Mr. Altimus, you want to talk about that?
Yes, Madam Mayor. A couple weeks ago, as I wrote in my brief, the unit actually seized in the process, basically burnt out the whole total components on the inside of the unit. We don't know if there was a belt that released or what caused the bearing blower to seize, but in doing so, it basically destroyed the inside of the whole unit. And in this case, when we looked at trying to figure out whether it'd be more cost-effective to replace the unit or to replace what was in the unit, it was determined based on looking at the destruction of what occurred that we don't feel comfortable not replacing the whole internal components, which then at that point you're going to get close to the same cost of having the new unit placed up there. At that point, you're going to have new warranties and brand new units sitting there. We don't know. We're still waiting on a answer from MMRMA whether we can claim this as an insurance claim. But at this point, I'd like at least approval. MMRMA, if they do decide to go ahead with giving us a refund back, they would do so after we spend the money anyways. And with winter coming, I got half a building that's not being heated currently.
Any questions for Mr. Altimus?
What's the usual life on?
I was wondering, how old was this unit?
11 years. This was put in back in 2006-07 when we moved in as a temporary city hall. Units are between 10 and 15 years old. They run 24/7. That's why I nurse ours along too, because we have 7 units of that size on our roof. So. But yeah, that's about the life expectancy, but you don't expect, the bearings to go out on something and then all of a sudden just melt the whole internal unit.
Mr. Altimus, I'm sorry, where you about to go?
So what's the usual life though, you're saying?
10 to 15 years. This is about 11 years old. We put it in early 2007. I think it was actually right after the first of the year, 2007. It was put in, just before we actually transitioned over as a temporary city hall.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question. I talked about the military museum before. What bothers me is, I know we have to take care of our own buildings, but to be taking care of a building that is not making us any money is what bothers me. So, because I know we charge them $1 a year for the building, and we
That
still
was-
taking care of the building.
Correct.
So
They
what are we?
handle all the utilities. They handle the general maintenance on the building.
So what about some of this maintenance of the $22,000?
That is by the setup of the lease, that is ours as the building owner. That is a major capital expense. So by that lease agreement, that would be our responsibility, as it would be if we did it at the Parks building. We still own the building and the assets.
When's the current lease up?
I think, I want to say June, maybe? I'd have to go back and look at it again.
June
So soon,
2019?
though.
But also understand, I've got an election in there in less than 3 weeks, and I don't have any heat. So that's the other part of the problem I had. But I can pull the lease out and look at it again and give you an idea of what the timing is.
But the bottom line is you have an election coming and you have no heat in that section which supplies the main room.
Which is why we didn't do, our normal full-blown specification, go out to bid and do all that. We're kind of under a crunch, so I tried to go out and get 3 valid quotes on the equipment and the replacement. All of them came in very competitive, which is, very good, so.
And for reasons that can't be explained, none of the various safety controls shut down the operation,
No, we don't know what caught, because obviously when we caught it, it was already in full-blown, catastrophic at this point. We don't know why, and there's not enough of the equipment after that to actually figure out what caused the whole unit to actually basically burn up. And even the HVAC folks that went out and looked at it, the DJ McConnell, they can't explain why it didn't do it either. But
strange to me.
it's happened. I had that happen on a. It's more of a residential furnace that we had also at the Parks building. It did the same thing, and they didn't shut down. And luckily, people in the building was smelling burnt plastic, and we went up and shut the unit down and actually found that it had done the same thing.
So the AC was running? And
No, at that time, the heat was running.
So the heat was, we had the heat on already this year?
In this case, it was actually the air handling. It actually senses whether it cold or heat. If it's not, it's bringing in basically fresh air into the building. So they probably actually had it set on like I do here. I have a heat cold setting where I can set both and an upper lower limit.
So, but you're saying it wasn't even on and then burned up? Or-
I don't know. They heard the motor running and got out there to check it and find out what was going on with it because it didn't sound right. By the time they got up there, that's when they found that the bearings had gone out.
Mr. Swoboda.
Madam Mayor, I would like council to be aware that this is an unbudgeted expense and that the proposed funds for this project will come from the fund balance of the Capital Improvement Fund. And as of report that I ran earlier today, that fund balance sits at approximately $210,000, so you're using just over 10% of the fund balance. Although we do not have a formal budget amendment prepared today, in the future when we have such types of motions, I promise that we will have budget amendments concurrent with the approval of the type of spending if it's going to exceed actual budgeted amounts. So be advised that this is not a budgeted expense. You will be reducing your fund balance, which as of today stands at about $210,000. However, granted, we haven't finished spending our money for the current fiscal year. We did finish last fiscal year with an estimated $142,000.
I'm just really concerned that if we don't fix this, we're going to end up with major problems.
I'm kind of hoping we get the insurance coverage on it, actually.
Right.
But we just haven't heard back yet.
Yeah, it was, the claim has been sent in. The fact that the safety features failed probably will get us a claim, but it's up to MMRMA to make that decision.
Because all of the equipment like this comes with a safety feature, does it not?
They do.
And you don't understand, you didn't understand
again,
why
I
it
don't
failed.
know
So it's also product
why.
liability.
Yeah.
And what was the original warranty on this, like how long?
Original warranty was 2-year full, and again, we're at 11, so, which is not uncommon for HVAC systems. If you look at ours, our warranties are out on all ours. That's why we keep them maintained, which this one had been too.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I mean, we have to fix it. And I'll make the motion, but I do want to ask this beforehand. I know that we got some financial background on this, but I think it might be beneficial for us if we could see, since we started leasing out that building, how much have we put into capital improvement since we started that lease? Just to know, like, over time, how much it's actually costing us. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve and award the bid for replacement of the HVAC unit located at the Military Museum to DJ McConnell Company HVAC Series out of Romeo, Michigan for $22,500 with a contingency of $2,500 with a total project cost of $25,000, and authorize the deputy city clerk to execute all the necessary documents.
Do we have support?
Support. Thanks for getting multiple bids, Randy.
You're welcome.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. Move on to payroll and bills.
Madam Mayor, I will make a motion to approve paying the bills in the amount of $2,698,638.18.
Support.
Moved and supported. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. Move on to the second hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard? Mr. Creech?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Harvey Creek, resident of East Detroit. Recently, I went to a town hall meeting, and I know, Madam Mayor, you had your ankle operation. You couldn't make it, but I was hoping to see some of the other residents from Eastpointe, but I guess I was the only one there. And the name of it was Enough is Enough, and that was for the Lake St. Clair, to save Lake St. Clair. And Lucido, Kevin, Candace Miller, a lot of the representatives, state representatives were there. And this dealt with St. Clair Shores and Eastpointe. I wish a lot more residents were there because there was some information there that was just unbelievable. And the worst part of the information is, is if this bill goes through, it's going to cost the residents of East Detroit $32 a month. I don't know where we're going to get it, where it's going to go, how the bill's going to come down, or exactly. But, you know, if you would have been there to understand and see, because we had Candace Miller on one side, we had Lucido on the other side. They're both fighting in two different directions, pulling, and, you know, and saying it was a great meeting. And I said they were talking about the Red Run drain, they're talking about the spillway, and Mayor, last time we were there, and I put in our 2 cents. I said one thing about it. I discussed this the last time with the mayor, and she said it's not going to happen in the city of Eastpointe. So this relies up to the council and rest of the stuff. I don't know what it's going to take, or what even for the residents or whatever it's going to do. But if this bill goes through, we don't have any choice. We think we got hit before, we're going to really get splattered. So, I mean, I hope somebody's got something to say about this. I wish somebody else would have been there. I cannot believe with this bill, especially dealing with St. Clair Shores and Eastpointe. Now, when we come down, we discuss what they want is us to split. We have to have 75% of our sewage and storm drains and the rest of the stuff. And they were talking, Mount Clemens itself, when they did theirs, it cost them $30 million. This was 10 years ago. St. Clair Shores has got 25% to go. We would have close to 45% to go. Thank you, Mayor. I know you're shaking your head, but this is exactly, people, you should have been there to hear what's going to come down and is going down. And this was really a great, great meeting, and I really appreciated it, enjoyed it. I wish, as I said before, too, all of St. Clair was there. Their council was there, their mayor was there, everybody was there. We had no one from Eastpointe. And yet we were the two main candidates. The mayor was supposed to be there. Rank, I don't know what happened or why we weren't there, but maybe I was, indirectly I was told, somebody was told not to go there, and the people that wanted to go didn't go. But I'll let it go at that. And it was to say, with the Chapatin, there was so much stuff that went on, I'd appreciate it. Then come down to it is,
You have 30 seconds.
okay, the hill at Spindler, I guess it was supposed to be seeded or grass today. At least the birds got a chance to enjoy it. They were up there eating the grass seed. I don't know if that's what you call seeding the hill or whatever it was, but it was pretty bad. I mean, I don't know if anybody said go do it and whatever. It was quite bad.
Your time is up.
Thank you very much. I got a few
Thank
other
you.
things to say, but it was great. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Creech. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Karen Morajan, Eastpointe resident. So while the rest of you were in closed session, I had the opportunity to speak in detail with our new public safety director, and I strongly urge you to listen to what this man has to say and his report that he is submitting to you in regards to transferring animal control over to Macomb County. There is no excuse for us not to have animal control. We've not had animal control in several months, and personally, I find that very reckless and just absolutely mind-boggling that our city is not making this a priority in protecting our animals. You know, they are the most defenseless and vulnerable. Who is going to step up to protect them? And I remember at a previous meeting, there was the complaint about there's no animal control on weekends. There never was. So this isn't about if we go with Macomb County Animal Control that we won't have weekend animal control. We never had it to begin with.
You have
In
30
the
seconds.
11 years that I've been here since we lost Matt, our previous animal control officer, we have not had an independent animal control officer hired by Eastpointe who has done a job that, was worthwhile keeping them on. They did not do right by our animals. So again, we need to finalize this transfer to Macomb County. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard? All right, seeing none, the second hearing of the public is closed. Move to mayor and council reports. We'll start with Mr. Kleinfeld.
Yeah, I'll briefly respond to the animal control issue. I know that Mr. Sabota mentioned it during his comments today. We are trying to figure out how to move that as quickly as possible. I'd like to see I want the county just to take it over. The question is if they're willing to. And if we went with the contract we had in front of us 2 weeks ago, that included a 3-month waiting period if they took it over, or if we went off and did our own thing. So, and I know that I believe Mr. Sabota plans to meet with our new public safety director and our attorney to hammer out how to get that going. On October 25th, 5 to 8 is the art show, and it will be at the Patriot Building in Spindler Park, and our commission's really excited about it, so I hope everyone can make it out and join us. I want to say thanks to Ryan Cotton. He did a really great job. I think he really picked up quickly when he got here, which is difficult to do. And I want to end with welcome to Joseph Sabota. Thank you for being here, and we're glad to have you. And that's it.
Ms. Owens.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank everybody for coming out once again. We got the regulars that always come in, so thank you for that. And Carol, I like your hair. It's nice. So you got your hair done, like cut or something, so it's nice. So I have to compliment you on that. So I want to congratulate Mr. Sabota for being hired in. I really was impressed by you being the council, so welcome. Mr. Cotton, he left before I can thank him. I really liked the work he did. He caught on quickly. I really liked him, not only the work he did, he was also, I'm gonna miss him because he was a friend as well. I could talk to him about a lot of things as well. So I miss him on a personal level as well. I was able to talk to him about the city and other things that I dealt with, and he is a very, very wise man. Also, I would like to talk about the last time I missed my last council meeting. I was in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was looking at some new ideas. So every time I go out of town, I'm always being nosy. I always tell you guys that about what other cities are doing and to bring some of those ideas to Eastpointe. And I know with our tax reversion houses, we have a lot of land that with no houses sit on there. And I visited a young lady who did housing. It was called Little Houses for Veterans, small houses and things like that. And she was a developer. And so I thought that would be, I know Eastpointe talked a lot about, doing some new changes and things like that in our city. So that was nice to go visit the houses and actually see the veterans who stay in those houses and meet them. And just, some new ideas for our city. And also last week, Monday, we did start a 4-H. Me and some of the residents teamed up with MSU. And that was good. I see your face out there. But I grew up in 4-H, so 4-H made me the person that I am today. And so if I didn't go to 4-H and my mother didn't have something for me to do, I'll probably be behind bars. So saying that, it was awesome. It was positive. It's a mentorship program to help kids. They do deal with animals, but we deal with them in a good way. We take care of them. And so also going to the next thing is the library. The library has a couple of events coming up. In November 2nd through the 5th, we will be having a book sale. So hopefully you guys go support that. October 29th is the trivia at 6:30, which I signed all council up for, so you can't back out on that. October 25th, Fran, she always comes up there. She's a cook, a chef, and it's at 2 p.m., and it's phenomenal. She always makes, in the summertime, she did a lot of salads, healthy salads for the community. So this time is going into holiday season, so she probably, dish up some soups or something like that, who knows. And they're also focusing on remote library cards, so people who can't get to the libraries, they're able to go to, the library are able to go to the schools and certain areas and give people library cards right then and there. So we're doing some awesome things in the library. And also, we're still collecting cans, because those cans that we collect are going to buy new computers for the kids in the library. So if you have old, cans or pop bottles or anything else like that, give it back to the community and give it to the library. We appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody.
Mr. DeMonico?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Do we know the categories for Jeopardy, Monique?
Hope it doesn't have anything to do with animals, so all I know is that that's your
Municipal
category
government.
if we do animals.
All right, we'll
But,
bring Karen along if animals. Yeah, first, welcome, Joseph, again. I've gotten to welcome you a couple times today at the DDA meeting and now, of course. And it was great working with Ryan. I think he did do a very good job for the short time he was here. And welcome again, George Rohib, new Public Safety Director, of course. Thank you for doing another meet and greet also. Thanks for coming out and meeting the residents and introducing us to a new officer also. That was very nice. Mr. Creech, I don't think I knew about this event you're talking about ahead of time. I saw a little bit of it on Facebook Live, but I guess I'll have to talk to you, get a rundown on that meeting you were talking about. If anyone was at the homecoming parade or the homecoming football game, that was a good time. There were a lot more people on the parade route than I was expecting, and it's always nice to see some old teachers and see the football team play for a bit. They ended up scoring 66 points that game. I don't know if anyone saw that. Yeah, it was over 100 points altogether. The other team scored quite a few points also, so it was a very interesting game. Actually, the very first play, we just threw a pass to someone and they weren't guarded at all, and it was a touchdown. And I'm like, wait, is this the beginning of the game? Didn't even seem like, I'm like, is the other team paying attention? And then from there it got a little more competitive, but that was a pretty interesting start, up 8-0 right away. And I have to thank Ryan again. He gave blood when the fire department just did their blood drive, and so did Pat Wolf, and so did I. So we got 3 pints of blood out. We went right after, I guess, our original DDA meeting. We didn't have a quorum, and then had to have another one this week. So we went over to the fire station and gave some blood. And then tomorrow, Director Rohib, again, he'll be at the 8K Homeowners Association meeting, if anyone will be there, giving a little presentation. So come on out. 7 p.m. start time, right? It's always 7.
Yes.
Okay. 7 p.m. start time, everyone. And then if you're available on the 20th, Darren McCarty will be at the high school helping raise money for the wrestling team. He'll be doing his slapstick comedy tour. So come on out for that. I guess find that on Facebook or find me if you're interested in getting a ticket, and I'll help you, direct you to the right person. And then, of course, yes, the opening reception for the art exhibition, as Mr. Kleinfeld mentioned. Come out to that. There will be a lot of great art there. And I'm ready for Jeopardy. Happy Halloween, everyone, and come out to Deck the Halls. There's only a few tickets left. Linda Weissop just told me today. Come out to the Chambers Deck the Halls auction. And then don't forget to vote, of course. There's plenty of stuff on the ballot, all the branches of government, all kinds of things. Vote for governor, senator, all kinds of judges. Look at all the races and do a lot of research before you vote. And that is all, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Creech, I was well aware of that meeting. I'm well aware of the bill that Mr. Lucido has been talking about. And we have explained to Mr. Lucido numerous times that we only have 20% of separated. But Mr. Lucido will not listen to us, not Candace Miller, not me, not Michael, when we talk to him about our plans for how we're separating, how we're reducing the discharge into the lake. If Mr. Lucido would come to some of our meetings, he would know, he would be aware. Mr. Lucido is also running for a campaign. So I was aware of the meeting, and so was Michael, and so was Michael's mother. But we're also very much aware of all the steps that we've taken to correct the problems that we have. We understand that he's upset. He thinks that he's going to get a bill passed through that's going to force us all. This cost to the city of Eastpointe would be a total of about $328 million. That's not going to happen in the city of Eastpointe. First, that was an underestimate. That was an overestimate on his part. He's throwing something else in there. But $378 million is not going to happen to our residents in Eastpointe. So we have been working at least for 10 years on these problems to try and resolve it.
Is it to separate all the...
It's to separate all the sewers. He thinks that you need to separate them all, but we've been working with the sanitary district, and we've been doing flow meter studies, and we know that we can put gates in place, and we've already rounded up grants to do that, and we're going to enlarge a canal. So we will have less discharges. But all of those things have to be worked out. Currently, we have grant applications. I believe that with the new expenditures that just came out from Washington with the Great Lakes, as well as with the infrastructure, that more money will be coming. So whether it's bonds or whether it will be grants, we will be able to resolve the problem. So if Mr. Lucido would like to come to a meeting, we would love to have him. We would explain all this stuff. But Mrs. Miller was there. She was explaining it to him. She talked to me an hour before she went. So I'm well aware of Mr. Lucido and what he was doing on that particular day. The fact that we couldn't go was only because I was sitting there with my foot facing heaven, and I could not go. And Michael had something else to do, and Mrs. Kleinfeld also had something to do. But we're well aware what Mr. Lucido was doing. He was talking about this at a fire chief's party 3 years ago, that he was going to put this bill through. So he and I can sit down and we can talk. Animal control, I have to beg to differ. We have had animal control in this city before, and it was very effective. But when you lose people with animal control, you lose the effectiveness of it. It can't fall back onto our police officers. And we have tried getting contracts. We have tried landing up contracts, and right now we're working on this. And so Mr. Rueb and Mr. Sabota are gonna fix this problem, and we're gonna find a solution that's gonna be workable for a long term for the city of Eastpointe. In the meantime, we need our residents to recognize the fact that their dogs get out. They need to secure their fences. They need to have their dogs licensed, because you can't find a lost dog when he doesn't have a license tag on him, when he's got through his fences. Our owners and residents need to take some degree of responsibility for that as well. I'm looking forward to the art show. I think it's going to be really good, very exciting. I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to make it to the thing, to Jeopardy. If I can hobble around on one leg, I'll be there, but
If it's Eastpointe history, we are going to need you there.
well, you know that one of the topics is going to be Halloween, so you better study up on Halloween, and then you might do something on witches and ghosts and everything. So if we
So we are
could,
going to know the category.
we could study and get sharp on this and win for a change. Mr. Sabota, I want to welcome you. I appreciate all the knowledge, your knowledge that you've given us tonight, and I'm looking forward to more and more and more of it. And I would also say that Brian has just been a great interim manager for us, and I go along with the rest of the council to say how much we've appreciated him. And I guess that's an all. Every time I hear Mr. Lucido and his spouting off about what we're going to have to do, I'm just like, please. All right, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session for attorney-client privilege relating pending litigation.
Support? Or so moved?
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens.
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes,
Councilmember Kleinfeld.
Yes.
into closed session. Can we go into it at 9:40?